Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Furr, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired. Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the Glow Cloud team.
Welcome everyone. It's Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers, and we're here today for another episode of the Cloud Computing Question and Answer session. I'm here joined by Alonzo Coleman, my Chief Marketing Officer, and together we're going to do everything we can to help you build your best cloud computing career. Perhaps you want to get your first cloud architect job or your first cloud engineer job, or you're not sure the difference between a cloud architect and a cloud engineer, and I'm going to tell you right now, 80-90% of the population is confused about it. They spend years learning the wrong things, and they never get their goals until they actually learn the difference. Or maybe you're unsure of which cloud computing career you want, or you're learning how to build a career, or learning how to figure out how to earn more money in your tech career, or wondering how to win the interview on your next interview. That's why we're here, to help you build the best cloud computing career. I've been in technology now, well, it's actually longer than 25 years. I even hate to admit it in today's world. And I've been helping others get their first tech job, get promoted in tech, earn more in tech for more than 2 decades. And I can and will, and we'd be more than happy to help you get your next tech job. Ideally, as a cloud architect job is my favorite, but perhaps you want to be a cloud engineer, a cloud network engineer, a cloud security architect. It doesn't matter. We've been in this field forever, and we're here to help you get your first technology job. So ask us your questions so we know what you want. So in today's session, we're going to leave it up to you to ask questions. Now, I literally get upwards of 2,000 emails a day of people asking for questions. And unfortunately, it's 18 weeks to book a paid consult with me. It's that long of a wait. So because I know most people can't wait 18 weeks or can't afford the $1,200 per hour to book a consult with me, and I'm still booked for 18 weeks straight, here's your perfect opportunity to ask your questions. I care about your career. I care about your future, and I want to help you. So, we talked about Alonzo being here, and he's going to help me in a minute or so. But let you know just a couple things that I want to tell you about right now. On Thursday, we have our How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. We do it every week. We present for about 30 minutes. We go over the entire job. We talk about everything you need to know. How to get hired when you have no experience, how to get hired when you do have experience, ways to position yourself. We literally cover everything, and it's completely free. And on Friday, guess what? It's not enough to be trained. You have to win the interview too, right? Because it doesn't matter how good you have it in here. If you can't sell the hiring manager on why they need you, you're still home. In the unemployment line, while the good architects are earning $800 a day on average, $1,600 a day for a seasoned architect, and I want you getting those jobs. And you got to win the interview. So join us completely free on Friday for the How to Win the Interview on any tech job that you actually desire. I've got lots of experience doing that. So Alonzo, why don't you say hello to everyone? You're my Chief Marketing Officer. Tell people what you do around here, and then we'll take your questions.
Sounds great, Mike. Well, of course, my name is Alonzo Coleman. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for this awesome company, Go Cloud Careers. And my job is to ensure that we have proper, executable, and a great learning experience along with Chris Johnson, but also for the branding and strengthening of our positioning within the industry to help transform you from point A to point cloud architect. So we make sure that everything is where it needs to be so that we can provide everything you need from branding, technology, training, CXO relevancy, business acumen, soft skills, presentation skills, and a plethora of other things to help you become successful. So me, along with Mike and Chris and our awesome staff, we are here to help you answer any questions that we have for you. And I don't want you to be shy. Let's go. Let's get it going. So let's get some questions answered.
Yeah, ask your questions now. Invariably, every week it happens. People are shy. They're afraid to ask their questions. No. They wait till the end, and then we can't finish the questions. So please be there. Douglas Gillette, I see you in the chat box. Welcome. It's so good to see you there.
Douglas is one of our awesome students, very intelligible, very capable and competent cloud architect, along with so many others, and he always takes the time to come in and help support us. Even though we may have those who are still here or those who are graduated and have become cloud hired, they still always circle back home to the home nest to share their knowledge, to get more knowledge from our awesome and experienced team. So let's fire away. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Ask us your questions so we can help you. It looks like Daniel's starting to type a question in the chat box, and we'll get to that in a second. I guess he just retracted the message and he just started to ask the question. So please don't be shy. While we wait, for some questions, I want to make it clear to you that every one of these jobs in tech are different than each other. The way a doctor's job is different than a nurse's job, who's different than a pharmacist's job, who's different than a physical therapist's job, whose job is different than a case manager's job. And every one of them has a unique set of skills. In the last 2.5 decades of tech, what we find is a tech skills mismatch. I mean, I'm literally not joking. I try and hire someone, and I've been interviewing thousands of people for decades now. And I want to view an architect. And guess what? I try to find an architect, and I can find a DevOps engineer. I can find a maintenance person or a SysOps. I can find plenty of developers, but I can't find an architect. I want a strong network engineer. Same problem. I try to hire someone that knows BGP and OSPF. And what I find is people that know coding and all these other things that are completely unrelated to it. So you kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So I want to get you hired. Looks like we've got our first question. So let's answer that question. So prepare for your job, not anybody else's job, and have a world-class career. Daniel, is it okay to go for the SSA first? I don't know what you mean by that. If you're asking me what's the first certification you should do, well, I don't know what career you want, Daniel. That comes first. Now, if you happen to be asking me, should I do the cloud practitioner? It's a resounding, don't waste your time on it ever. In fact, we have a video, my team in the chat box, Tyrone can find it and put it in here, of why you should not do the AWS Cloud Practitioner ever, with one exception. We do work with a subset of incredible people in Africa that are given free vouchers to do the Cloud Practitioner exam. And when the person does the Cloud Practitioner exam, they get given a 50% off to the Solutions Architect Professional, which is really the only exam we want you to take in the first place if you want to be a solution architect. So for people that have a hard time paying for the $150 for the Cloud Practitioner exam, that are given it for free, guess what? Then we recommend the Cloud Practitioner skip the Solution Architect Associate and go straight to the Certified Solution Architect Professional. But keep that in the back of your mind. Otherwise, we strongly don't recommend you ever do a Cloud Practitioner. And if you have a Certified Solution Architect Associate, we're going to remove that ridiculous Cloud Practitioner from your resume anyway, because we don't put junior certs on your resume. So start with the Certified Solution Architect Associate or the Professional. A lot of my students go straight to the Professional as their first exam. Why? Because they're all about the same level of difficulty. It all depends on how much AWS decides to make their questions challenging. Every exam from AWS is going to be hard. And it's not the material that's hard. They got to make it challenging to say you passed it. And actually, AWS is doing a lot to reduce the challenge. Free AWS retakes right now to increase the number of certified people. So start with whatever one you can do first. If you can do the Professional first, start with the Professional. Want to start with the Associate first? Start the Associate first. But unless you're part of the subset of people that really need the free voucher for the Cloud Practitioner, skip it. Don't start there. Now, Daniel, I'm going to tell you one other thing. The last thing you should do is get certified. Wait, what did Mike say? The last thing you should do is get certified? I'm going to tell you right now, it's a big secret that every hiring manager knows and every unemployed person doesn't know. No certification is ever going to get you any job ever. And we employers don't care at all if you're certified or not certified. We care about the following. Can you do the job? And I promise you, in no certification do they teach you how to do the job, except for the Cisco Certified Internet Expert. But that certification will cost you just $1,500 just for the exam. It'll cost you about $10,000 to $20,000 to prepare for it, and you'll have to go through 75,000 pages of reading. So that's the only certification in the entire world that'll lead to a job. So learn the skills for the job, because you can get hired without it. We get people getting hired like Delroy Beck, Cloud Security Architect, 0 certifications, because he's got the skill. So hiring managers want the skill. Can you do the job? Next, they want to know if they can trust you, which most people lie to them on an interview and they are escorted out of the room. They want to know, are you safe? Do you know what you know and know what you don't know? Can you communicate, and can you communicate well? Because people that don't communicate cause conflict at work and they make errors, and we can't have that on our team. We want energetic, enthusiastic, compassionate people. Because who wants to hire this person? Hold on, wake me up from my nap. Or let me go take a picture of my butt and post it on Instagram. I don't want that person on my team. I've literally walked through corporate hallways and I see people doing this, and I see somebody next to me, next person that's getting laid off, You're getting laid off, and they see it, next layoff, they're there. So we don't want those people. We don't want somebody that's going to complain. We want someone with a can-do attitude. And we want someone that's going to go above and beyond, a team player. You are all those things, Daniel, and you will get any job you ever wanted. How about you, Alonzo? You want to add anything to that?
Well, I mean, you were spot on, and I think that dose of reality really helps people to better understand and frame the responsibilities of what this position holds. Now, keep in mind, you want to have a six-figure salary, and the going rate, and I haven't checked today, is usually, last time I checked, was almost $201,000 with zero experience. That's with any experience to become a cloud architect. But understand that that goes both ways, and that requires you to be very intelligible, very communicative, be able to understand tasks, be able to take on pressure, because you're going to be leading a lot of strategic and executable strategies, and you're going to have to help create those things. So you're going to be earning this money. It's just not a just go grab it, and you're not going to have any pressure or any type of heavy responsibility. So that requires you to be fully competent, and not just in cloud service provider labels and terminology. You need to understand the agnostic cloud and what that entails, the full scope and span of what it is to become a cloud architect, and how you're going to be able to leverage these business transformative concepts to tell a story for the client, to provide a means of why should I spend all of this money, which they do not want to do. They don't want to spend any money because companies are in the position, I want to make money. But the investment in what you're going to share with them is the reason why you're going to coax and convince them that this investment that they have is going to be a great ROI in both a short and long term. So answer your questions. I can't stress it enough. We love answering these questions. These are our office hours, if you will, to provide you everything you need, all the information you want to be very successful into becoming a cloud architect, and we're here to help you.
Exactly.
Which
Excellent,
cloud?
Cristo.
Yeah, I like that. Which cloud architect will you recommend, Mike, from the various types of cloud architects, and why?
Well, excellent Cristo, and I'm using the Greek pronunciation because that's the only way I know how to pronounce that name. What do you want to do? I mean, that's really the important thing. What do you want to do? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if your goal is high earnings, stop thinking about the tech. The tech is the worst part of your career if you're trying to get paid a lot. But the key is, what do you enjoy? Do you enjoy security? Do cloud security. Do you love networking like me? Do networking like me. But the key is, what do you want to do? Now I'm going to tell you right now, the closer you are to the tech, the lower your salary is going to be. So do you want to be close to the tech, or do you want to be close to the business? And for you, that's going to be up to you. Now, I can tell you, I spent a lot of time in networking, and I absolutely loved it. But as I got older in my career, I learned some very good secrets. The closer you are to the tech, the less management thinks of you, and the lower your salary is. So the guru in programming is going to be the lowest paid person in the room, when you've got someone else that's got good leadership skills, good sales skills, good business acumen. And, that is you. So in my youth, I focused on the network. In my older age, after interfacing with CAEO and CFO and CIO and CTO, I realized that that was a huge mistake. So I focused, which is where I bias my students towards. And I teach my students how to be cloud network architects, cloud security architects, generic cloud architects. But I bias my students towards the business side of the architect world. Why? Because Cristo, what exactly is the job of the architect? It's to improve our customers' business performance with technology. I'm going to say it again, is to improve their business performance, increase their revenue, improve their employee productivity, reduce their marketing expenses, optimize the supply chain, whatever it is, get people communicating and collaborating better. That's our job. So the closer we get, the higher our salaries. And I'm going to show you some jobs with business acumen. So Christos, as you move on, you can focus on being the tech guru, and you'll have a $200,000 job. Or you can focus on the business, which can help you get a $300,000, $400,000, even an $800,000 architect job or better jobs. And I'll give you some examples. I'll start with the principal architect at Microsoft, and most of those guys are not super technical. They're super businessy. And I'm going to give you some architect jobs, some non-architect jobs. I'm going to start with Microsoft because I love Microsoft. They're a great company. They've been embedded in the internet building business and the digital transformation business for decades. You know, after Apple, I think they're the second most valuable company in the world. They've got about 2 times the value of Amazon, 2 times like more than double the earnings. I haven't looked recently, but more than double the market value. So now let's look at another one. So Google, we'll look at a Google professional cloud architect. We'll look at a Google principal architect, and we'll look at some things that are outside of architecture as well. Here's another one, Christos. Now, what you can see in these architecture jobs is you got an average pay for a principal architect about 508. Now, I was there as principal architect in less than 2 years. And if you focus on the business, you can be there shortly too. Now, a couple of things you notice. You notice this wide pay range of 394 to 677. Now, what really are we talking about here? We're talking about business acumen skills for the most part. And sales skills, but also your interview. Your interview can play a $100,000 difference. So again, focus on your business and your interview skills. But note that 394 to 677, that's almost 300K. And what determines that? How much stuff you can sell, not how good you are technically. So think about that. Now let's look at another business acumen job, a senior director at Cisco Systems. Great place for a cloud architect to go to because most architects, enterprise architects, are director level positions. Let me click on this one. I believe this is the Cisco one. So again, here we're dealing with another job that pays what the average person with business acumen is, and I'll tell you more about that. According to salary.com, the average individual with business acumen skills earns over $553,000 a year. So what we see at Cisco.com is the same thing, and we got this information from Glassdoor, but this is in line with all the people we've coached and know throughout the years. Again, you can see this job. Again, huge pay range, 417 to 689. What's that dependent upon? Well, how much stuff your people sell, for the most part, how good your leadership skills are, and the interview can easily make a $100,000 difference in your pay. While we're at it, I'll pick the lowest paid employer of everyone. I don't know why everybody keeps saying I want to go to Amazon, but all the other tech companies pay more. You can earn more on Wall Street too, but a lot of people want to go to Amazon. So we'll talk at Amazon, a principal architect, again, not a super techie position. It's a business acumen position. So again, we're showing a job that on average pays 363, so to speak, with a pay range of 291 to 491. What's that based on? How much stuff you can sell and how good your interview is. So as what you can see is, it's all related to your business acumen. So what do I recommend, Christo? Business acumen, business acumen, business acumen, and more business acumen. Communication skills, interview skills, sales skills, leadership skills. So stay on the enterprisey side like I bias my students. Stay on the business executive side. Let the techies focus on the tech. You'll earn 3 times more than them. You'll have 3 times the upward mobility in your career. But some people love the tech, so let them focus on the tech. But if you're asking me how to build the best career, it's sure not by focusing on the tech. It's sure by focusing on the business. You want to add anything to that, Alonso?
Mike, you said it. It's like the closer you are to the client, the closer you are to the money, the more you're going to be able to benefit that from. And the funny thing is if you consider it from the human, and imagine this infographic from the human side to the technological side, the further away you get from the human component, the more automated things become, and the more automated they become, the more the greater the percentage of your job being phased out, because it's going to be handled by automation instead of the physical component who does not need vacation, sick time, maternity, paternity leave, and so forth. So the closer you are to building the people, the closer you are to building those benefits, building those relationships, and being able to make more money.
Yeah, so that's why we're biased. That's why we teach so much leadership in our program.
Yeah, Definitely looking forward. What does Jameson say?
Jameson, hi, Mike. I went to study the cloud architect and I have no knowledge IT. That's totally fine. And if anything, it's actually good because you don't have anything to unlearn, like any bad habits, so to speak. Because if you're an engineer, and I was an engineer first, I got to learn how to forget how to be an engineer to be an architect.
Yeah.
On average, how long is the program? I'm going to tell you it's about 8 to 12 months. Now, Jameson, I've seen people get through sooner. I entered a Richard Afukar. He had no background in tech whatsoever, and he got hired by AWS in less than 3 weeks. But that's not normal. I'm going to say 8 to 12 months. Now, Jameson, I've seen people get through sooner. And I've seen somebody at 12 months that basically couldn't attend the program full time. They had a family issue and it took them a couple extra months too. I've seen that too. But honestly, we don't care as long as you get hired. And we're not like other programs. We're not going to take your money, put you in a program for 12 weeks and say, goodbye. We don't care about you anymore. You know, there's plenty of evil organizations that do that. You stay in our program until you're hired. So I would say 8 to 12 months is average. And, you know, that's pretty incredible. Why? Because the average cloud architect earns as much as a physician or an attorney. No, I make that income. I used to practice medicine before I went into tech. Average person that goes into one of these fields takes on $300,000 to $500,000 of debt, spends 7 to 15 years of their life studying something, and earns the same, if not less, than the average cloud architect. So it's going to take 8 to 12 months. It'll be an investment that'll be well worth it into you, and I think you'll love it. And Jameson, I'd love to work with you. How about you, Alonzo? You want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely. This is not only just a job. This is a career. This is your future, which can transform not only your life but generations to come because of the influx of salary potential that you can garner over the course of your career and your lifetime. So think about how powerful that is, and if you have to spend a little time and sacrifice a couple of nights, from not going out, or maybe something, some sort of varying expense that is not necessarily mandatory to live off on. Think about how much this can transform your life. Like, say, for instance, I believe the going salary is $200,471 annually with zero experience. You do the breakdown, it's probably $16,000 dollars per month, and maybe $750 to $800 per day. So you think about these type of numbers and how maybe just whatever just popped into your head, what you can easily buy for your family, how you can change your parents' lives, your children's lives, your relatives' lives, and how you can help them as you grow into a position that you love and an industry that you love. The return on investment is invaluable. So we want you all to ask your questions. Don't consider if it's quote unquote too dumb or you're not experienced enough. There are no inadequate questions or mentally inadequate questions. We want to make sure you start your journey today, and that requires us to know more about who you are and what you want to do with your future.
Well put, Alonzo. Emmanuel, what are the skills to be a successful cloud engineer? Okay, Emmanuel. Now, a cloud engineer is the exact opposite of a cloud architect. Cloud architects are don't touch the technology. We don't build it. Now, cloud engineers are the construction crew of the cloud, and they are by far the most technical people in the cloud. Again, there's absolutely nothing in this job that's related into a certification. So let's tell you what you need to know as a cloud engineer. As a cloud architect, I'm going to hand you a design and say, build this. So get out your virtual hammer, your virtual screwdriver, and be prepared to build. So what are those building tools that you're going to need as a cloud engineer? Well, you're going to need to know the network and the data center. Why? The cloud is a network and a data center. That's it. It's the same. It's a network and a data center, and it's basically the same network and a data center that we've had for the last 20, 30, 40 years. The only difference is it's now virtualized. So cloud computing, renting space in somebody else's data center. Wait, that's a hotel. They build a big, beautiful building, and you rent a room in it or a suite in it. That's the cloud. They have all their servers, all their storage, all their routers, switches, firewalls, all of it, load balancers. And you go in there, and you rent space in it, which is now virtualized. So you're going to need to know the network in the data center. That means BGP, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, route summarization, route aggregation, IP addressing. How do you do IP addressing? Planning, subnetting, that kind of thing. Now, it also needs WAN technologies, which means private lines, IPsec VPNs, software-defined networking, SASE, and those types of WANs. Now, we're going to be talking about switching, so that's going to mean spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, port channel, ether channel, link aggregation groups, those kind of things. DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy ARP, and all that. Now, on the data center side, you're going to need to understand servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration, storage area networks, which include block storage, object storage, file storage. It's going to mean load balancers, network load balancers, application load balancers, reverse proxies, API gateways. And then you're going to need to understand databases, NoSQL databases, relational databases, weight data warehouses like Postgres. And then from there, you're going to need to understand security tools such as identity and access management, firewalls, VPN concentrators, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems. Now, you're also going to be building, which means you're going to need to know Linux, because almost everything that's out there is on Linux. So how do you automate Linux? So you're going to have to be writing bash shell scripts too. So you're going to need to know how to write a bash shell script. Now, as an engineer, again, architects don't touch the tech, but engineers have to code. So you must know Python if you're going to be a cloud engineer. Now, while we're talking about the engineering, you're going to have to deploy this cloud stuff, right? And nobody's going to be clicking on the management console. Click, 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 and wait for the screen to refresh. I mean, I might teach an 8-year-old to do it, and I have taught a 6-year-old and 8-year-old how to do stuff on the cloud by clicking that. But when it comes to really deploying and building, you're going to be using infrastructure as code, which that means you're going to have good, strong knowledge of Terraform as a cloud engineer. Now, you're also going to need to understand Kubernetes and understand that well, so you're going to also understand Kubernetes. That's the skill for the cloud engineer. But Emmanuel, unless you are in the developing world, Greece like me, Africa, India, Pakistan, where people outsource to you. If you're in the US or the UK, cloud engineers are being laid off and they're being outsourced to other parts of the world. Make sure you also have some good communication skills and good leadership skills, because as AI takes over and does half of these engineering jobs, AI can't replace cloud architects, but AI can replace the engineers. One cloud engineer with AI can do the work of 10 regular cloud engineers. So 9 cloud engineers expect to lose their jobs and have one supercharged AI-based cloud engineer. Keep that in the back of your mind. So if you're going to stay in tech, do this. And if you're passionate about it, which is great, be the best, but also get those communication skills, leadership skills, and sales skills. And that way, when all the layoffs occur in engineering, you won't get laid off. So be the best if you want to be there. Just keep that in the back of your mind, Emmanuel. That's how you become great at engineering. You live, you eat, you breathe, and you sleep the technology. Well, for architecture, it's all how much can I do to improve the business's performance? And that's why our architects and engineers shouldn't even be in the same room sometimes, except when we collaborate. The engineers focuses on the tech, and the architect focuses on the business. So that's why these roles are so different. So that's what you need to be a successful engineer. And please, I'll make sure you focus on that, and you'll do great.
Which cloud is in more demand, AWS or Azure? So as of now, and it's kind of reducing, or it's more of a vie. AWS is commanding more of the market share at this point in time. However, Azure is a very, very close second. And I think that comes down to knowing your customer and being honest about their capabilities and what they're doing. Like case in point, Microsoft Azure had a few outages, and they were honest about that. They shared with their customers and to the public, not only to share transparency, but to say, we know what happened, we know how to remediate it, but we're also working to be better, as opposed to things that maybe AWS has painstakingly, if you will, guarded their responses on what happened during their outages. So because just like any relationship, the less I know about you, the less I trust you. So if I don't know much and you're keeping things from me, it's very hard to create a growing experience and a growing relationship. So, but ultimately, El Misra is what I'd like to share, and this may not be a part. This could be a next step in your question. Is that don't focus so much on cloud service providers. Focus on the overall agnostic cloud. AWS, GCP, and Microsoft Azure, they provide services that rest on the cloud. They do not provide clouds, they don't provide the cloud themselves. So understand that it's the agnostic cloud that you need to learn. You need to strip away all the names of Elastic this or Blob that or Cold Tier this or anything, but understand the differences between block storage and object storage. Understand what an intrusion detection system is and how it's relatable to firewall systems. Understand DDoS or distributed denial of service, what that is, how that plays, that bad actors use to help disrupt services, and what you can do to mitigate that. These are the concepts, terms, and applicable discussions that you need to have as you become a cloud architect, so that you can know that if you're consider agnostic cloud as ice cream, AWS is vanilla, Azure is vanilla, and GCP is Superman ice cream, if you will. There are different flavors, but ultimately the ice cream is what you need to understand.
And El Misra, Alonzo said it best. Learn the cloud. Learn to drive a car, and then you don't know which car it is. Now, I'm going to make it very clear to you. 98% of organizations use more than one cloud. 98%. Which means if you only know one cloud, there's no point in you. You'll have no cloud career whatsoever. You must understand the cloud. Imagine taking a driving test and only learning how to drive a Toyota. And then your wife gets a Mercedes as a gift because she's like the best architect in the entire organization. They buy her a Mercedes as a bonus. She won a contest. Guess what? You don't know how to drive it. That'd be ridiculous, right? So all the clouds are the same, as Alonzo said. So please, please, please do that. So, all clouds are the same. Whether it's AWS or Azure, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So learn the cloud. Learn what a virtual machine is. It doesn't matter if the AWS marketing department spent millions coming up with this ridiculous name, Elastic Compute Cloud. Azure called it Azure Virtual Machine. The Google marketing arm spent millions of dollars coming up with the term Google Compute Engine Instance. Same thing. It's the same technology that VMware invented in 1999. And truth be told, virtualization was actually invented in the 70s by IBM with time-sharing mainframes. Not much has changed in the last, other than the names of things. So, El Misra, focus on learning the cloud. Vernon, hey Mike, I know you mentioned that you don't necessarily need a certificate to become a cloud architect, but do many companies require one cert? Vernon, the only people that care about certs are the people that are selling certifications and the engineers that don't know better.
Exactly.
Hiring managers don't care. I remember a million years ago trying to tell a hiring manager I had a certification. And it was the first part of the interview. And I said, I passed the CCI. And he's like, thanks, Mike. I don't give up. And he mentioned a 4-letter word about your certifications. Let's talk about what you can do for my company. He did hire me because I proved it. No hiring manager cares. Now, Vernon, I will give you the exception. If we are a consulting company, we might like to make ourselves look good. So as a consulting company, after we hire people, we may send them to a little quick boot camp for the week and get them certified. Because the reality is, Vernon, I could push anybody through a certification boot camp, and a week later they pass the cert. And all the companies know, if they can send you to the Certified Solution Architect Professional, pay $5-10 grand for the week, at the end of the week, you're certified. Nobody cares. They care, can you do the job? Can you do the job? Now, sure, Vernon, I want to put in, if you show up in a job interview in a perfectly pressed Armani suit, and you spent $1,000 on your shoes, $1,000 on your belt, $500, and you walk in an $8,000 outfit, sure, you're going to look better than somebody that spent $1,000 in a Hugo Boss suit. But guess what? When it comes down to it, it doesn't matter if you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt a Hugo Boss suit or a $10,000 Armani suit. If you can't do the job, they can't hire you. So realistically, just think of certifications as wrapping paper that make you look good. It's you. You're what gets hired. So no company requires any certification ever. They require a person that can do the job, a person that they can trust, a person that knows their limitation, knows what they know and know what they don't know, a person with energy, enthusiasm, and passion, a person that communicates well, that's a team player, that's willing to go above and beyond. You prove that, there's no interviews, you're not going to get hired. Every interview I've ever been on, Vernon, I've been hired for. I've never had more than 10% at max of the stuff that's on the job description. I looked at the job description and used it as a means to heat my house when I lived in New Jersey and it was cold. We'd print out job descriptions, we put it in the fireplace, and the house is warm. That's about all they're worth. Truth be told, Vernon, the certifications aren't worth much more than that. Your knowledge is. So yes, Vernon, after you're trained, after you're ready to get hired, yes, get a certification. It'll help look good on your resume. But it's the last thing ever you should focus on. The first thing is your skills. Your skills. Can you do the job? That's really, really, really what matters most. It's the same reason you can hire somebody, an accountant that went to Temple University, and you can hire someone that went to Harvard. And guess what? The hiring manager doesn't care. Now, the $300,000 of loans that somebody has versus the $30,000 of loans they have, that's for the person to deal with. The hiring manager doesn't care. They care, can you do the job? So Vernon, master the job. Be the best at the job. Be so good that when they look at you, they forget your lack of experience or your experience. That's what you want to do. Whether you're a mental health tech like Jennifer, who got hired with zero experience at JP Morgan Chase, or a 20-year-old high school dropout. And the reason I say high school dropout is because Daniel Boso is so smart, so capable. I kind of wish he was my own son. And he got hired by JP Morgan Chase, but he didn't even graduate high school. So it's not your certifications, it's not your degrees, it's can you do the job and can you do it well? That's the secret. Be great. Usain Bolt. You ever watch this guy run? I love watching Usain Bolt because I love all things Jamaican, but Usain Bolt is the fastest man alive. If he wore a dirty jersey, is anybody going to care? No, he still won the thing. So focus on you. Be great, great, great. How about you, Alonzo? You want to add to that?
How can I fix that? That or improve upon that? That's very true, Mike. Is just being able to understand. I think that one of the things that's important is that don't let a piece of paper be your ambassador when you're not in the room. Okay, let your competency speak for itself. Like if Mike and I were both vying for the position, I wouldn't be able to compete with Mike in any realm on earth when it came to networking. But if we both had the same certifications, left and right, what is to distinguish us apart from who we are and how we can do the job? And that would be how we're able to communicate our competency. So put your investment, put your value, put everything into who you are as a competent cloud architect and less on the valuation of what they advertise about these certifications. So it's so important. It's the person behind the role instead of the certificate that makes you successful and makes you into the cloud architect we all know you can be.
Yeah, so do that. So again, be the best you can. Play your game, not somebody else's game. Well, all these characters that don't know better are focused on cert. Focus on being great. Focus on standing out and focusing on playing to your strengths. If Alonzo and I were going to get head-to-head, he would compete on his marketing knowledge because it's better than mine. And he could talk about what he could do for the organization's brand. That's his superpower. I might talk about the network. Whatever the case is, play to your strengths. We all have our own strengths. Don't play somebody else's game. Mark, the cloud architect you said is meeting with customers about building cloud design. Would this role have any absolutely building? Actually, no, Mark. We do never, ever touch the technology.
No.
It's not just a marketing role. See, marketing is about building a brand, determining what to charge. This is a system design role. So, and here's why engineering doesn't work. So those really great people that build your house when you need a house, there's somebody like they take this, and my brother told me this thing is a wrench and you tighten screws with it. That's building, that's engineering. Now, the more you build stuff, it doesn't teach you anything about system design, which is why nobody hires construction workers to design hotels or to design shopping malls, because architecture is design and building is building, it's construction. Now, our architecture is not marketing. Marketing is determining the price, the promotion strategy, brand building, and other things. This is a business analysis. It's consulting architecture. So, you know, in management consulting, we have business architects. I was a business architect. You know what you do as a business architect? You go meet with a CEO. Hey, what are your business problems, Mrs. CEO? And she says, I'm trying to increase sales. I don't have enough sales rep. We got a lot of operational expenses related to a bad supply chain. Now, Mark, as a business architect, what do? I then go talk to the people, walk around the building, talk about the department heads, frontline workers, ask their customers what's good and what's not good. I then redesign the way the business is supposed to run, Mark, and I think about the people, the processes, and technology that needs to change, and I build a plan. It's a business architect. Now, Mark, what's a cloud architect do? The same thing, but they focus more about the cloud technologies that are going to improve the business performance. Again, figure it out. Ask the executives, ask the department heads, ask the frontline workers, ask the customers. Walk in, pretend to be a customer, observe the experience, and figure out what the desired end state is, and then design the goal. Design. Architecture is a design goal. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I've spent more time playing golf in my architecture career than I have touching technology. And here's why, Mark. When I left engineering and went to architect, I've never been allowed to touch my customers' technology, but I've been mandated to go to golf. I don't even understand football. And I've gone to like 4 Super Bowls with box seats because that's part of the architecture job, is entertaining your clients. Now, Mark, you will be taking your clients for dinners and drinks like all sales reps, because you got to have a relationship with people before they give you information. So this is a design, present, and sell role. This is a role where we work booths at conferences and talk about our solution. We present at conferences. We write documents for magazines. Notice I was in over 100 magazines last year because I'm an architect. Everything from Forbes to Yahoo Finance, architects are always being published because that's what we do. But as architects, we design, present, and sell the solution, and somebody else builds it. Just like the building architect who designs the blueprint for the building, and then another crew comes in called the construction crew to build it. Architect design it. Engineers, construction crew to build it. Once the engineers are done with it, Mark, it goes to the maintenance people, which are called sysops. And if it breaks, you call technical support, which is another set of people. So many, many different kinds of roles in the cloud. All good. You got to just do what you like. But definitely not a marketing role, because marketing is something else. If you want to know a lot more about marketing, Alonzo could tell you about marketing. He's a marketing executive. For about 30 years. Akuni, you just want to say thank you to the team. I just got a job with a top IT firm. Woohoo! Just watching your live videos and preparing for the how you interviewed people on YouTube. Thanks a lot, Go Cloud Careers. Akuni, I am so happy for you. I mean, I'm truly, truly happy for you. You know, me and Chris and Alonzo, and there's so many other people in the back of the team. We've got Tyrone back there right now, and I don't know who else is back there, but I'm sure there's some other people back there. And we all work so hard to really help the cloud computing community. Akuni, I am so thrilled that you got hired. Whether you were our student or whether you're watching our YouTube videos, that's why every day we're on YouTube. That's why every day we're posting on LinkedIn. That's why we give away so much free content, because of people just like you. And I'm so, so, so excited for you, Akuni. I'm really thrilled. You have no idea how happy I am for you. Great job. Congratulations. Let's give everybody a hashtag cloud hired for Akuni and be so thankful for him.
Well done, Akuni. Wonderful.
Excellent, Cristo. You want to be the cloud architect type that helps you make more money and be financially free? You're about to join the program. Well, we can't wait to work with you. Now, Cristo, if you speak Greek, Samilame elinikama zisu, and I'll be so happy. But if you don't speak Greek and I just took the name Christo and turned it into a Greek name, well, that's totally fine too. But I'm always looking for people that I can speak Greek to. But that's neither here nor there. So the key is to focus on the digital transformation piece. Focus on making your customers more successful, focusing on increasing your customers' business performance, and you will build a name and a reputation that will follow you. This person's the solution provider. This person can help you. And I'm going to tell you right now, your career will be like this. Well, everybody's teeter-tottering, worrying about their certifications.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't have said it better, Mike.
Kraft, how do you get your resume in front of the hiring manager if you don't have cloud certs and it's not in your resume? Do we put projects? Kraft, architects don't do projects. Engineers do projects. And a lot of architects have been talked to by engineers that know zero about architecture because they've never had the job, and they keep telling them to do cloud projects. And they build a portfolio like an artist of programming, of sysops and DevOps and Git. And then they walk into the customer and the hiring manager, and the hiring manager says, yeah, so that's not architecture. Get out of here, please. Here, would you like a cookie? It's been polite to see you today. Kraft, you've got to have a brand and a brand building. So we'll let Alonzo talk a little bit. We can't talk too much about this because this is a lot of proprietary things that we do. But Alonzo is good at brand building, and he does brand building for our students so the world comes to them. Our students get 15 to 20 interview requests every week or so, as soon as they put down Go Cloud Careers and actually put down the Alonzo branding things, and the world comes to them. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And oh, good, Alonzo. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So what have you done? Have you written any blogs? Now, there's two kinds of blogs. There's the blogs that says, I set up a web server on Linux. Guess what? That just told me as an employer why I shouldn't hire you. Because if I wanted instructions on how to do it, what would I do? I would go to the Linux distribution. Let's say it's Ubuntu, and I would look, how do I install a web server? And it would say sudo yum install. I'm sorry, it would say sudo apt-install HTTPD or Apache, and I would do that. So that's kind of how we would do it. So we don't want that. Now, talk about something that's digital transformational. How can SASE, for example, change the landscape for WAN cloud networking? That's an architecture piece. Or, for example, how would you create a hybrid multi-cloud situation to perform high availability? Something that shows that you are a leader. What kind of things what kind of thought leadership documents have you written that shows the world why they need you? What are you talking about to build your brand on digital transformation? And if you are going to do a project, make it a real project like our students do, like design and build your own cloud. That way, when everybody else is doing Git and all these silly things that are totally unrelated to architecture, and you can say, I designed and built my own cloud, at least you're talking about something that makes sense. But it's not about cloud certs. And the reality is, being certified won't teach you what you need to know. You're going to need to get training. You can't just pick up on a rule, like a physician job, a lawyer job, or an architect job that pays you that without training. So find a good training organization. Find a good training organization that knows how to build your brand. Find a training organization like ours where employers come to us each week and say, who do you have that's ready? I need somebody that's good. I need somebody that can actually do the job. I spoke to a recruiter this morning because she was doing reference checks on one of my amazing students. And she said, while you're at it, who else do you have for me? We had VPs of HR coming to our meetings. We had a director at Amazon come to one of our classes and talk about why he needs our people. We have people that try and hire our students, and when our students say no because they got another job, they say, who else do you got for me? And Chris and I attend these meetings all the time. So go out there and build your brand. We can't talk too much about it, but why do you think I have a marketing executive with 32 years experience? Now, granted, we trained Alonzo. Alonzo went and got a great cloud job, and I begged him to come back because he's awesome. He's my friend. And he's so good at building people's brands. So Alonzo, why don't you touch brand and what brand does in terms of value and things like that?
brand is so important. Okay, brand is your business card. Brand, and although that is a diminishing trend, but your brand is what everybody talks about when you're no longer in the room or you haven't even entered yet. So that is how we're able to hone. Although you have been polished, your experience has shown through, that we're going to take that even further and really shine up and polish who you are, exemplify what you've learned with us, and we're going to package that in an excellent presentation that any hiring manager will not be able to take their eyes off of, to ensure that you become cloud hired. So, of course, I can't share everything that we do, but we definitely convert and transform you into a magnificent brand execution of what a true architect is, what people are looking for, and how you're going to be a massive attraction in the market for becoming and getting hired as a cloud architect.
Yeah, and that's the key. And Alonzo's got some lag on his end. There's all kinds of internet stuff going on. My AT&T hardline internet is gone. My Verizon hardline internet is gone due to some bad weather. And I'm actually on my third internet connection. Like I said, never build a network on a single service provider. Never use a single cloud, even myself. I'm on my third internet connection right now. And that's so, Nagalia, how do you get experience after certifications? Guess what? You're going to need to be trained. Nobody cares about experience. They care about competency. Now, I know every job from help desk to VP all talks about experience. What it comes down to is competency, or the ability to do the job. So, Nagalam, I don't know what job you want. You're just asking experience. If you want to be an architect and you spent, if you spent 5 years writing code, that's not valid experience to be an architect. That's valid experience to be a software engineer. Likewise, if you wanted to be a software engineer and you've been an architect for the last 5 years, that's not valid experience either, because it's a different career. So, Nagalam, what job would you actually like? Tell us the job you want, and we can tell you the kinds of things that you can do to get valid experience to make it better. But without knowing the job, we'd be as bad as those certification advisors that are just telling you, here, just do stuff. And years later, you do stuff and you have skills for everybody else's job but yours, and that's not us. So, Nagalam, I want to help you. Tell me exactly the job that you want, and then I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get real experience. Because experience for an architect is one thing. Experience for an engineer is something different, and they're all so different. So tell me the job you want, and we'll be able to do the same thing. Coco, how much do solution engineers earn remotely, realistically? Very little, and it all depends. The reason cloud architects are going up, 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 and the reason we stopped selling our engineering program and only focused on our architect program is the following. Okay, so how much the solution engineer job is remote? So the engineers don't need to be in person ever. It can almost exclusively be done remote, Coco. And here's why. It doesn't matter where you code. You can be in California, Chicago, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Town, Cayman Islands. It doesn't matter where your code is. It has nothing to do with it. So most of the engineer's job can be done remotely. Now, here's what's going on. What we're seeing is in the US, we're finding out that a lot of the people that have been working remotely have not been working. And in fact, US employee productivity is some of the lowest it's been in ages. And what happened is, I've worked remotely since 2000. And when you work remote, you have to do 30 to 40% more work than you do when you actually work in the office to prove that you're working remotely. But the output of the American workforce has been so low working remotely, they're starting to bring engineers in the US back in the office or hire them overseas for a much lower cost. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. How much of the engineer's job can be done remotely? 100% of it, realistically. And what you'll see, and this has been going on for about 20 years now, is they're getting rid of a US engineer and they're hiring 4 or 5 Indian engineers to do the same thing. It used to be that we didn't have enough engineers in the US, so we would sponsor visas, H-1B visas, and bring people in. Companies would pay for it. They'd pay the same US wage, then they had to pay legal fees to sponsor visas. But now, With cloud, it's not like you're walking into the data center. It doesn't matter where you're at. So how much of the job can be done remotely? All of it. But in the US, what's going on, they're making US engineers come back to the office because too many people have been on TikTok, for example, saying they're not working. They've been complaining about their manager. But instead of bringing an Indian engineer to America and paying them $100,000 for a job, they can hire them in India and pay them $28,000 for the same job. They could hire somebody in Africa for the same job. It's called arbitrage, and it's a very important business concept. What businesses do is they try to buy something at the lowest cost possible and then sell their service for the highest cost possible. So you'll see a consulting company, and the consulting company will design and build an architecture for somebody. The architects will be in the US, all the engineers will be overseas, because it doesn't matter where they're at. And there's a tremendous number of highly educated workers in Africa right now, tremendous number of highly educated people. Eastern Europe, Asia, and so many places that have so many hardworking people that want to work with exceptional education for the engineers. So all the engineering job can be done remotely. Philip, I was trying to see what you had in that little graphics. Very cool. This is a very motivational concept. You're glad you turned in, you got yourself realigned with the program. Philip, I'm glad you're here. I know you're in our program. Work the program. I don't want to ever sell a program and have somebody not do the work. Ever, ever, ever. So if you're in the program, do the work, and you'll be wildly, wildly successful. And I can't wait until you're there. Can't wait till we get to talk and we get another Cloud Hired. I love Cloud Hired. It's the whole reason I do this. Me, Chris, and Alonzo, we celebrate them almost every night. So I'm thrilled you're here. So if you've got some questions, please ask them in the chat box. I don't have a lot of time, but I can answer a few more if you ask them now. And in the meantime, I can answer Nagalam's question. Nagalam said you wanted experience for the cloud architect role. So let's talk about what experience is. Experience is designing architectures. So what kind of architectures have you designed? How would you design an architecture for a healthcare environment? How would you design an architecture for a bank with a low latency trading application? How would you design an architecture for a retail bank? How would you design an architecture for an organization that has 20,000 remote locations? How would you design an architecture for an organization that's connected to the cloud and all of their supply chain partners are connected to the cloud? How would you design an architecture to improve the legal industry? How would you apply an architecture for architecture? So there's that. What kind of white papers have you written, for example? Architects write white papers, they're sales documents. What kind of white papers have you written? What kind of motivational content have you put out there? Things like that. What kind of business and leadership content have you put out there? What do we do as architects? We design, present, and sell, and we lead. So what kind of things are showing your leadership? What kind of things are showing your CXO relevancy of your knowledge and business acumen to the CEO leader or the CIO or the CTO and the CFO? Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. These are architect things, and these are architect experience. Time on Git, worthless. Time writing Python, worthless for the architect. Time setting up Linux, worthless. Time with Terraform code, worthless. And not only in Galileo is it worthless, it actually brands you wrong. So imagine you wanted to adopt a cat, and a big, beautiful German Shepherd dog showed up, but your wife or husband or child wants a cat. No matter how nice the dog is, it's not what you're trying to buy, and you'll buy something else. And I also, Nagala, know this from personal experience. I love dogs, okay? My wife loves cats. About 2 years ago, I wanted to surprise my wife and make her happy. So I went to the pet rescue. And when I got to the pet rescue, a beautiful, beautiful dog came up to me. It started licking me. It was friendly. And honestly, Nagala, I saw that dog and it was instant love. And then I remembered in my head, I want a cat. I want a cat. I want a cat, which is what my wife said. So then I said to the dog, thank you, I'm sorry, but goodbye. And I went over and found the cat. Now, I adopted this little cat, Cindy, Little Cindy's beautiful. She sleeps with me every night. After my wife, she's the second love of my life. I love the cat. But the key is, even though that dog came over to me, I wanted a cat because my wife wanted a cat, so I got a cat. So Nagalam, on your resume, make sure your experience is exactly in your job. Because think about it. If somebody had a lot of experience on an airplane as a flight attendant, would you hire them to be a pilot? Of course not. And if somebody's got a lot of experience with, a hammer, you're not going to hire them to be a building architect because it's experience in somebody else's job. And if somebody's been a physician forever and they say, hey, I'm applying to be a lawyer, again, you're going to say, thanks, but I don't need a doctor. I need a lawyer. So those are the kind of architect things that you can do.
Okay. Could AI replace architects' jobs? A resounding no.
No. And the key is to actually understanding what the architect is. The architect is the executive. The architect is the person that actually owns the relationship with the client. The architect is the person that's going to lead a large team of people. The architect is the person that has to sell. So you'll spend more of your time as an architect buying lunches and dinners and drinks with the corporate credit card. And believe me, you'll be buying a lot of lunches and dinners and drinks. You will be playing golf. You will be giving presentations. You'll be schmoozing and kissing babies like a politician. One year, I spent practically $200,000 a year of company money on the company Corporate American Express buying lunches, dinners, and drinks. So AI can't replace that. They can't replace your ability to go look someone in the eye and talk to them. Now, engineer stuff, coding. Well, I can write a Python script in about 10 seconds with ChatGPT, and it's still in beta. That's before the benefit of Microsoft's $10 billion investment. Why do you think Microsoft laid off like 10,000 engineers and spent $10 billion on the same day? Because they're going to get more output. So no, AI cannot replace an architect, but they can easily replace an engineer. That's why about a year ago, we saw what was going on economic-wise. We knew what was going on AI long before anybody else knew about it. And we said, because we've been in the tech futurist and architecture business forever, we stopped selling our engineering program. Now, we're still running it for the people that bought, and we're still getting engineers hired, but no, AI cannot replace an architect's job. But it sure can replace an engineer's job, and it has been doing it, and we're seeing a lot of engineers getting laid off, and at the same time, companies are spending billions investing in AI technology for this reason. So you don't have to worry about that in architecture.
It's kind of like the difference between binary code and poetry.
Yeah. Habib Ahmed, can you get a job in Italy? Of course you can. Now look, Habib, every job description has 5,000 different careers on it. They've been this way forever. I've never had more than 10%. I've gotten students getting hired in every country in the world. We got lots of people getting hired all over Europe. We got people getting hired in the Middle East. We got people getting hired in Africa. We've got people getting hired in Asia. We've got people getting hired in the UK. And yes, I know I said Europe, but UK isn't really Europe. So we've gotten people getting hired in the Europe too, as well as UK. We've got people getting hired in Australia. We've got people getting hired in New Zealand. We got somebody hired in Mexico the other day. We have people getting hired in South America. Yeah. And of course, we have people getting hired. There's not a single country that's out there that I know of where we haven't gotten somebody hired. I don't know if we've gotten somebody hired in Iraq or Afghanistan. But they're the only two that I don't think I know that, and I may be missing others, but no, we've gotten people hired almost everywhere. And the same thing that they want an architect, whether I'm in my village in Greece, whether I'm in London, whether I'm in New York, the key is absolutely, we can easily get you there. Every job asks for millions of things. That's why we put our LinkedIn post today, don't worry about job descriptions. And it's about, can you do the job? But even a help desk job wants 20 years of experience, 3 Olympic gold medals. Every job wants experience. And here's the reason why, Habib. They don't care if you have experience or not. They don't want a certification junkie. They don't want someone that mugged up or memorized a bunch of questions and answers past the certification. And any of you guys can pass any certification anytime. I can get all of you, 100% of you, passing the Certified Solution Architect Professional in less than 2 weeks, and you don't need to know anything. I can tell you exactly where to buy a copy of the exam, which places sell a copy of exam, and poof, you're certified. Heck, if you want, I can even find you a place where you pay $200 and somebody's going to take the exam for you, and you're still certified knowing nothing. Yeah. And if that wasn't enough, what ultimately happened is now with AWS is here, you get a free exam retake. I even lowered the value of the certification and said, don't focus on certifications. Yeah. Don't focus on job descriptions. Focus on being great. What I did earlier in my career is I read job descriptions. It was all garbage. And I asked 50 people that hired them, hey, what do you want in the perfect architect? And they told me. And then poof, I actually became that. And that's what I'm telling you. I've been an architect for decades. I've gotten people hired in every country you can possibly think of. And I'm telling you exactly how to do it. And we could easily get you hired. Anything you want to add there?
Oh, definitely. We have done, I mean, how many times do we get a text, email, Slack message about someone getting hired? And it was because of that emphasis on that competency, Habib. So we, I don't want to copy what Mike had said, but build yourself up. Let Habib speak for Habib on your competency and not a piece of papers, because that is who they want to speak with. It's almost equivalent to going into a business meeting with a C-suite who are in charge of multi-million-dollar implementations, and you don't speak about your competency or your ability to do the job. It's like you grabbing all your certifications and just sliding it across the table saying, I can do the job. If I was that person, I got to go to someone who is competent and capable and take my money and business along with it. So that's the equivalent, Habib. So be confident, competent, and competent, basically, and let that competency speak for yourself instead of those certifications.
Exactly. And do not, under any circumstances, limit yourself to a single provider, because it's never the provider you think is going to hire you. It's everything is multi-cloud. So as long as you're a multi-cloud architect, you'll be able to be hired anywhere in the world. Meaning know the cloud versus the stuff in a certification. Mr. Dominic, is there just one type of cloud architect, or are there specializations? Oh, there's tons of architects, Mr. Dominic. You could honestly, if you truly wanted to, you could spend 500 years doing different architect jobs. But realistically speaking, you've got a couple of options as an architect. You could be a generic architect who focuses on the big picture. Strongly recommend this. You could be a cloud network architect who focuses on the network. You could be a cloud security architect that focuses on security. You could be a cloud big data architect, which is not really a cloud architect, but somebody that focuses on big data. Or Mr. Dominic, you can do what I recommend, which is be a generic architect and focus on digital transformation and business, and double or triple your salary over every other kind of architect. So the key is what you really want to do. My students in our program is biased towards the enterprise role. And even though the enterprise architect is not an entry-level job, where the cloud architect or the solution architect, we get people as their first job constantly. We still get people enterprise architect jobs sometimes with no experience too. Like Jermaine, Jamaican guy, really fun guy. He was a landscaper. He got an enterprise architect job. Wallace Agana, really nice guy. He came from a sales background. When we spoke, I said, I love your sales background. You'll be an architect. And his first job was an enterprise architect job, because sales is such a good background for architects. But all in all, we bias everyone with enterprise architect skills in our cloud architect program, regardless of the kind of architect they want to be. And that way they have much more upward mobility and future potential, higher salaries, being able to get hired above other people. Because what employers really want, they're looking for the person with that je ne sais quoi, the gravitas that everybody loves and flocks to. They're looking like for an Alonzo guy. Everybody meets Alonzo. They're happy. They love the guy. So, I mean, that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for that kind of person with the big personality. They're looking for someone with good leadership skills and good scale skills. They're looking for somebody that can walk in a room that's got some charm and charisma. They're looking for someone that knows how the tech works so they can design it properly. But most importantly, Mr. Dominic, let's kind of make it clear. There's an African proverb, which I probably heard the first time about 20 years ago, and it's stuck in my head and I never forgot it. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. One of the first really great architects I met was my friend Daryl. And he actually taught me a great many things, Mr. Dominic, about 25 years ago. I was one of those techie architects. And it was my brand new architect. And then Daryl was not. Daryl spoke well, presented well, knew exactly what to say, had the best leadership skills and sales skills. So Daryl would say, hey, Mike, I need you on my team. Yo, Footer, I need you on my team. Yo, Greg, I need you on my team. And together we would design these beautiful and elegant things. He'd present that back to the customer, and Daryl would introduce us to all these specialist architects, and they'd buy anything, okay? And then there were people like me that were just trying to focus on stuff. And we were never as effective as the Daryls of the world. Why? Because I tried to show how smart I was on my own. Daryl brought in 3 of us, or 4 of us, or 20 of us. And, you know, when I learned that from Daryl about 25 years ago, it changed my architecture world. And I never designed another architecture on my own. Everything that I do takes a lot of people. Just watch this. Look at Alonzo's body language. So, Mr. Dominic, I'm Mike. I've got 25 years experience and I've designed a lot of billion-dollar architectures. I took all the information you gave us about your bank. I thought about it for about a week, and here's your architecture. You want to buy it?
No.
Right. And now that's a guy with 25 years experience that's closed billion-dollar deals. Now, let's work it out a little differently. Lonzo, I really enjoyed the opportunity to meet with you. After we met, I spoke to your entire C-suite. I spoke to all your department heads, the frontline workers, and guess what? Me and about 10 people from my company actually bought stuff through your organization to take the customer journey. After we saw that, here's what I did. I built a team of about 50 people. We had about 5 people from the security domain, 3 people from the networking domain, 2 people from the user experience domain. We brought in 10 cloud engineers because they're really deep in their technology. I brought in some Linux engineers. I also brought in some security engineers, some IAM architects, and some big data architects. We spent the last 4 weeks locked in a room, figuring out how to optimize your business. And we have a plan that's going to work for you. Are you interested in my architecture?
Definitely, Mike. Let's schedule a meeting.
Okay. So you see, that's the difference. One is I tried to pretend that I could do it all on my own. And I'm a guy with 25 years experience. Very few architects are like me that have done billion-dollar architectures. I'm still not selling the CEO of any big organization. I can do it for you. Trust me. I'm going to show them. So one case, I've got 25 years experience, right? Next case, I got 50 people. They each have 15 years experience. 750 years experience versus my 25. What do you want? That's why architects must be leaders. We are not engineers. We are not techies. We are leaders because we got to design it, present it, and sell it. And here's another secret thing. If you don't understand the business,
right,
and all you know is the tech, how do you help boost the business's performance? You don't. That's why certification and all the techie cloud projects will never work for an architect. Maybe an engineer, but not an architect, because you got to know how to improve the customer's business. That's what we do. They should just rename us digital transformation specialists. It would make life a lot easier. Now, most people, business people know what an architect is, but for some reason, the engineers have been giving architects guidance on a job they've never had themselves, and it's really muddied up the waters. But the hiring managers know what they need. Dan Kajisi, how did your program work? Well, here it's very simple. So our program works in the following. It's a hybrid of live classes, on-demand content, projects, and group projects. So we have 3 live sessions per week, and they are on Zoom because we have to be able to talk to each other. You can't learn just by watching videos.
No.
That's nonsense. So on architecture, you got to design stuff. So we have architectural classes 3 times per week, 2 of which are tech and 1 is which are these critical business leadership, sales skills, executive presence, the soft skills, those kind of things. And in these courses, we will teach and students ask questions because you got to be able to ask questions. We will do group architectures together. We will do practice interviews together. We will teach tech together or whatever is necessary.
Yeah.
Now, in between those classes, there are videos and homework assignments. And guess what? Almost all of the homework assignments are reviewed from our team. You'll give a presentation. We'll give you feedback on it. You'll build your career development plan that's unique to your goals. We'll give you feedback on it. When you try and get 30 certifications, we're going to tell you, no. These 2, and these are the skills that you need to learn. Why? Because I want you hired with the highest salary possible. I don't want to waste any time. Every day you're not working is costing you $800 for the average architect. A good architect, $1,600. Average month that you're not working is $1,600. So people that try to save a couple of dollars on certification, they don't want to buy a $2,500 course, they lose 6 months of their life, which is $100,000 of lost earnings. So for us, in our program, time is money. So live classes plus on-demand projects and lessons for which you turn in and you get feedback on it. Now, of course, there'll be architecture projects because you got to do projects, right? But these projects will be actual architectures. How do you do this? How do you design this? How do you design this? And of course, our team will give you feedback. Now, we do have a tech lab module, and I have mixed feelings about putting even the tech in there. I put the tech in here for the following reason. If somebody ever asks, have you done it? I want you to be able to say, yes, I have. So we have our students do real projects like building their own cloud. And that way, when everybody else, like I set up an S3 bucket, you can be like, yeah, ha, 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 ha. I designed to build my own cloud. Sure, we do about 20 labs on Azure. Sure, we do about 20 on AWS, but we do real lab, the data center stuff. Because how do you migrate a data center if you've never worked on a data center? So we teach you the data center stuff. Of course, there's practice interviews. There's resume work where we teach you how to resume. We teach you how to negotiate a higher salary. And we've had many students use our salary negotiations and take their $160,000 job offers to $180,000 job offers.
Yeah.
Or our $210,000 job offers to $240,000 job offers just from our negotiation training, which is also there. So it is a 100% life-changing program. 3 live classes per week, which we record in case you can't make one. Work that you do on your own, work with you do with groups. And we've got a Slack community that's like 2,000 people strong all over the world. We got people getting together, working together, interviewing each other, building clouds together, designing architectures together, publishing documents together, and anything, Danica, that it takes to get you hired. I love what we've done. I'm proud of what we've done. I know Alonzo is as well.
Oh, yeah.
And our students are amazing. You saw Douglas Gillette in the chat box a little earlier posting some content. Douglas is an amazing, amazing architect. We're honored and privileged to work with him as well. Okay. What are the souls that have the least hands-on involved with tech? The architect role is the least hands-on tech role in tech, where you're actually considered tech. The next role would be the sales rep. The next role would be the program manager. Marketing people. Well, actually, marketing typically doesn't have that much time in tech either. But those are the roles that don't have any hands-on things. Which roles have hands-on? Anything that has the word administrator or engineer in its title is all hands-on. Anything that involves architect, account manager or account executive, meaning sales rep, program manager, or marketing has no hands-on. Tech writers typically don't have hands-on, although a lot of tech writing can be outsourced via ChatGPT. Like that.
Okay. How to express to the hiring manager that Go Cloud Architect has changed since you joined. For example, increased business performance and clients by 10%. So to convince the hiring manager who needs to have figures to prove your ability. I guess you're trying to apply quantitative justification of why Go Cloud Careers has enhanced your positioning. I'm just trying to get an understanding of what that question is.
Yeah, so the way it's worded is a little hard, but it's up to you and your interview skills to show the hiring managers what you've done. AQC, I wish you joined us a year ago. You'd probably be hired by now. But so here's the thing. If you're on an interview and the people ask what you've done, you tell them. You talk about the designs that you've done and you talk about the problem. For example, I can tell you about a bank that I worked with. And in this bank, one of the problems that they actually had is someone would call up their financial advisor, and the financial advisor would say, "Oh, Alonzo, hold on one second." And then you'd hear him typing in the background, "Oh yeah, Alonzo, how's the kids doing?" And it was like they had to go read through the notes because they had no idea what Alonzo actually is or who he is. By comparison, so when we understood this problem, we worked with the same bank. And we picked up some unified communications, and we integrated the unified communications into the database. So now when Alonzo called his financial advisor, the financial advisor said, "Hey, Alonzo, how you doing? How was that last trip to Jamaica that you went on? You know, Alonzo, I see those REITs that you purchased. Well, they've been up about 22%. Good investment over there. You know, Alonzo, last time we talked, you were talking about buying a new home in Florida. You know, I got some really great mortgage rates that I can talk to you about this." That's how you would do it. Or you would use the 6 business cases that you did inside of our course. And inside of those business cases, you would talk about the projects that you actually did and the things that you did for the business. That's it. That's how you do it. So on any interview, it's no different than any sales call. You got to have the knowledge and the acumen to talk about what you did. You took our program and you took it seriously and you attended every single class, you would know exactly what to say and how to say it because you'd be trained in it. But it's not the kind of thing that I can answer in, 5 minutes over here. The students that take our program have, literally speaking, over 500 hours of training. Somebody joins right now. They not only have over 500 hours of previous training, and I suggest they all take it, but they get their own 300 plus hours of live classes. So they're getting 800 to 1,000 hours or more of actual training to get through the program. In 1,000 hours, you can learn a whole lot. I'll give you an example. One of the ways I paid my way through college was I was a paramedic. People wake up and they dial 911 in the US, 999 in the UK. And in there, not in those 500 hours, I learned how to take a patient that was having a heart attack, start IVs on them, draw their blood, give medications, know which medications to give, put tubes down their throat when necessary, put a chest tube in when necessary. If somebody had a tension like a pneumothorax or a collapsed lung, I know how to open up the lungs necessary. I'd learned how to put in a tracheostomy if somebody's neck was, if their windpipe was punctured. I learned how to splint them. I learned how to do everything, right? And that's just 500 hours. So the point is we spend at least 500 hours. In 500 hours of direct work, you can learn a lot. 500 hours of indirect work, you're not there. So that's why we have those 6 architectural cases in there. So you have something to talk about to the hiring manager, and you can show it. But it's like anything else you're going to do as an architect. You're not going to be able to give away, like when I meet with a client, I can't say, with IBM and the Gap, I did this. With Bank of America, I did this. With Healthcare Corporation of America, I did this. You're going to have to speak in generalities because you're going to be signing non-disclosure agreements with your clients as well. So you'll know exactly what to do if you were properly trained. And if we trained you a while back, you'd be already working right now, and it'd be great. But it's a great question, AQC.
James T, currently in program. However, if I were interested in adding the interview training and earning more money, would it be more beneficial before or after my first job? Thinking of career advancement.
Oh, James T, I'm going to make it real simple for you. The better your interview is, the better your first job is. On every one of those jobs that I showed you today, James, there was on the higher paying jobs, there was almost a $300,000 pay difference between the lowest and pay bottom position. On an entry-level architect job, there's about $100,000 different, James, between the lowest and highest paid. So not only would the interview training make it much more likely to get a job, which you're going to get either case in our training, but you'll get hired faster and you'll get hired for a higher salary. So if our interview training is $24.99 and you get hired 6 weeks earlier and the average architect earns $16,000 a month, that'd be the $24,000 that you would gain minus the $2,400 for the program. You'd still be ahead $22,000 if we got you hired 6 weeks earlier, which would be nothing for us to do with that. So I would do it beforehand. And since we don't really take the interview training away from you, I would go back and do that interview training again, which you already paid for prior to your next job. And then guess what? I would do it again prior to your next job. We're not taking it away from you.
No.
So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. The earlier you get your education, the more useful it is for you. So that's what I would do, James, if I was you. And believe me, when it was my first tech job, I spared no expense. I took every course you could possibly imagine. It cost as much as a Mercedes did. I borrowed money from family. I maxed out my credit cards. I got new credit cards on. I took a personal loan. I paid it all off in 6 months. But it's what I did. I value education. I know Alonzo values education. If I ask Alonzo, what'd you pay for your education?
150 and climbing, because there's never an end to it.
Yeah. Same thing for Chris. And I got to tell you right now, there was over $300,000 spent on my education, and it paid huge dividends. Now, I wish I did some things differently. Like I wouldn't have studied healthcare first.
Yeah.
All 7 years of that. But I'm going to tell you, what I learned in healthcare really made me a better architect. What do people do in medicine? They ask a person about their health problems, right? Then they examine them, ask some more questions, and they have to sell them on taking their medication. It's exactly what I've done as an architect. And so kind of keep that in fact, on my first architect job, my manager joked and said, I hired Mike for the following reasons. He's an expert at figuring out people's problems and coming up with solutions. Hey, by the way, if you're sick, if you have a headache, go see Mike. He'll write you a prescription. He's been doing architecture forever. And truth be told, when I told the hiring manager that my job is in medicine and my job as an architect were the same, he's like, oh my God, you're right. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. How you communicate, how you sell yourself is there. So if there's any last questions, great. Ask it right now. Otherwise, we're going to end on this concept right now. So if you got any questions, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to get it out. Otherwise, I know Alonzo and I are both incredibly busy. We'll push it a little longer if you've got some questions for us, but we can't push it that much longer. And while we're waiting, I want to make it clear 2 things. Join us for the How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar on Thursday. Whether you join us or don't join us, I can tell you one thing. You will learn exactly what you need to do to be a cloud architect, as well as at the same time, join us on this interview program. We don't really put our cloud architect career development program on sale for the most part, but we do currently have a 40% up sale on our tech interview mastery program. It won't last long.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination, but we temporarily have it on the interview program for the May badge. Don't waste this opportunity. For literally speaking less than 2 days pay, you get the opportunity to not only learn how to master the interview, but to get some private one-on-one calls that would normally cost you $1,200 a session and take you 18 weeks to book. So take advantage of that. To learn how to win the interview, I'm going to tell you right now, we have a completely free How to Win the Interview presentation, and it's going to be Friday. So please join us on that as well. Join us on that as well. James T., if you're missing the leadership piece, we still have it. Send an email to us, and we'll get you the old leadership program back to you. Since I saw that chat, just send an email, and we'll make sure that you got that. So join us for the How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar on Thursday. Join us for the How to Win the Interview webinar on Friday. All free things that we're doing to help you maximize your cloud architect, cloud engineer, or cloud computing, networking, or security career. And I'm going to tell you right now, just believe in yourself. Whatever you do, just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Any of you can do any job that you desire. All of you. You know what gets in most people's ways in my 20 plus years of coaching? The person themselves. They're fear. They're afraid. Now, I've worked with elite special operations warrior, and I've worked with the best architects. I've worked with the best engineers. I've worked with everyone. And you know what keeps people from getting to their goals? Fear. So be courageous. Being courageous is not having fear. We all have fear. It's what you do in spite of the fear. When I was a paramedic and we were in an area that was highly dangerous and somebody dialed 911, I still went there. I was afraid, but I still went there because it was my job. So be courageous. Things will change so much, so much, so much. You know, I was going to end here, but like 2 or 3 questions just popped in. So let's answer them real quick. What expectations would an employer have and a team of architects for a newly hired architect? Parnell, they would expect you to have good communication skills, good sales skills, good leadership skills, high levels of emotional intelligence, the ability to build a team, the ability to know what you know and know what you don't know, the knowledge of when to get questions, the knowledge of how to build relationships, and the ability to learn. Because no matter what job you learn, they're going to send you there. For example, I've got a student, Al, right now. Al is a great guy. He took our program, had a sales background, super smart guy. His first tech job is a senior solution architect job with Deloitte, first tech job ever. And they're training him for the next 3 months because it's a consulting firm. These are the shoes that you wear. This is the way we buy lunches. These are our processes and procedures. So no matter where you go, Parnell, there's going to be months and months of training to learn their ways of doing things. So that's exactly what you can expect. One of my first architect jobs, I joined there on, and my manager said, it's all on the web. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, I have 0 expectations for you for the next 6 months. I said, 0? And he said, yeah. So what did I do? I took people out for lunches, dinners, and drinks, all the employees that I got to meet. 3.5 months in, or 2 months in, I forget what it was. He says, Mike, guess what? Here's a mission critical program. In fact, it's worth about $1 billion a year to us, and you're the lead architect. And I'm like, oh. So what did I do? I thankfully built lots of relationships with lots of people, buying lots of lunches and dinners and drinks. And I built a team out of all of them. We designed the coolest solution I can even describe, designed it, presented it back, negotiated it for months on end, documented it, sold it, and then I moved on to the next architecture and it built my career. So that's the way it works. Great question.
From Coco, I am currently on an AWS course, but there is none of this self-development or interview focus. This sounds great and very promising. Coco, we can definitely provide a full suite of everything that you need to become successful. When it comes to AWS, that's exactly what they're giving. And it's, what you pay for is what you're focusing on. So, but AWS is just a small peek through the keyhole of what cloud architecture is, and being able to execute competency and package it with soft skills that we comparatively have never seen before in any other form is what we can do to get you to a place of being cloud hired instead of being certified.
And Coco, we can easily help you. We've had to retrain people from nearly everyone else's programs. Yeah. And here's the reason why. They teach everything engineering and systems administration related and nothing architecture related. And their advice is, well, you could just learn on the job. 10 years later, you'll be an architect. Yeah. Or worse yet is the companies that are charging $7,000 to $10,000. In fact, one of our students spent $35,000 and we had to completely retrain him from scratch because he was taught every other skill other than the ones he needed for his job. So Coco, we can easily train you. We can easily get you hired. And we've got lots of experience doing it. And that's why when we have people with 20 years of engineering experience that have been cloud engineers for a decade and software people before that. And guess what? We have to develop them because, they received training. And you know what training is? You ever see a SEAL that bounces a ball on their nose? That's training. Certification training is training. It's not much different than the SEAL bouncing a ball on their nose. Here's an AWS service. Here's how to configure it. Yeah. We provide professional development and proper education. And that's why our people get the best jobs at the highest salaries. And Coco, we could take whatever you have and develop it into something special. That not only will you get hired, you'll get hired for a higher salary than you've ever dreamed possible, and not just get hired, but have the real skills that are going to help you long-term, to kind of keep that in the back of your mind.
And that's a great thing. Training, that is a point A to point B situation where I'm going to train you to do something specifically whether development, there is no end to that. You're going to continually develop yourself throughout the duration of your entire career. And that's what we do. We continually focus on that, emphasize what's competent, what's relevant, what's necessary, instead of a end-to-end certification. I'm training to be certified. And after that, then what else is next? How are you going to continually train to be relevant, to be strong in your position? And that's why we develop over training.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why we do what we do. It's there to develop you. So not only can you get hired now, but you can get any career you want, and you'll have the upward mobility because you're going to know what to learn, how to learn it, and have the innate skills that are there for a VP job, a CIO job, or an architect job. Because all elite jobs are architect jobs. The CEO architects the business. The chief marketing officer architects the brand. They're all architecture jobs once you get there. And that's why you see the C-suite is filled with management consultants. And you know what a management consultant is called? A business architect. And I've been a business architect, an enterprise architect, a cloud architect, a network architect. And the only architect job that's not an architect is the technical architect, which is the engineer with a better name. So, we don't really have any more time where we can continue today. I hope we've answered some questions and really helped you build your cloud architect career, cloud engineer career, or any other technology career you want. Join us on Thursday for the free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, and join us on Friday for the How to Win the Interview. And you will have a fantastic, fantastic technology career.
And also,
take care, everyone.
All right, take care. Everyone have a good one.
If you had something to say, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure that if they could join us for our Heading to Clouds, we definitely will continue on with our discussion, which was awesome last week, about interviewing in an uncertain economy. So I think that you also will benefit from all of our free content, things that we don't charge anyone for, but we want to educate and just emphasize how passionate we are about getting everyone cloud hired. So join us in Heading to Clouds and in those 2 webinars, and we hope to see you very soon.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.
Take care.